Good morning and welcome to the JMCSS podcast for the district. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. Today, we'll visit with Dr. Shalonda Franklin, Chief of Social and Behavioral Services for JMCSS. We also call her team Family Support. For the district, the JMCSS podcast is a production of the Jackson-Madison County School System in partnership with Forever Communications. You can listen to this episode on demand on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Dr. Franklin, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me here on today.
Hey, Dr. Franklin, you are our Chief of Social and Behavioral Services. But that's just the surface of really what you do, not only for our district, but the community. I have to start off with the question I ask all of my guests.
Okay.
Did you know when you graduated from Haywood High School that you wanted to work in education? Did you know that?
No, sir, I did not.
So talk about your journey into education. I know you started out, I guess, in nursing or social work.
Actually, I left Haywood High School and I went to Austin P.
You didn't think I was going to drop that?
I did not. Yeah.
This is a podcast, Dr. Franklin. We have to have fun.
Okay, you yeah.
I went there.
You did.
Okay.
So I went to Austin P. And I was going to be a nurse. And I actually did 2 years there. And I applied for the nursing program, got accepted. And
you had to change your heart.
Yeah, my grandmother got sick, and I went and I saw her, and I thought, no, I can't do this every day. So we changed courses, and I transferred to Lane College, where I studied social work. So I graduated at Lane College, and I was a social worker when I left.
Okay.
So I did that for a little while, and I thought,
No.
My
wife has a degree in social work.
Awesome.
And most of her work was in nursing homes. But Dr. Franklin, I hear social work is very hard work.
It's very hard work. It's very mental. I mean, it's mental work because of the emotions and, that comes with it. And it can be very taxing. And I worked at the Department of Human Services. And so, taking children away from their parents, you want to take them all home with you. You can't do that.
You can't do that, Dr. Franklin.
So, it just became taxing. And, I began to have children. And I thought, I can't do this. I was like, I got to do something else. And so I continued to work in social work while working on my master's in education.
Oh, wow.
And so I became certified K through 8 and got that. And then, social work, bye-bye. Education, hello.
So, Dr. Franklin, you've been a teacher, a district leader, principalship. You've served in several roles.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about that?
Yes. So, went into education as a first grade teacher, believe it or not. A lot of people that know me and my personality are like, you taught first grade? I'm like,
True story. Yeah.
True story. I really did. And I actually loved it. And but taught first grade and met Dr. King in 2009. And, I said, I can't do this either forever.
Yeah.
So wanted to work in leadership. And so he offered me a position as an instructional facilitator, actually, in Haywood County. And the first one, actually. So, I was really good at what I was doing, And so, and from there, just leadership it's just been where I've been hanging out.
We're visiting with Dr. Shalonda Franklin. She's our Chief of Social and Behavioral Services for the Jackson-Madison County School System. So it's fun to hear two things, Dr. Franklin. And let me look at the producer. This is show 26 or 27. I'll have to go back to the files to verify that. But, we start off asking all of our guests pretty much that same question.
Yeah.
And so many of our leaders kind of took a back door to education after starting down a different path. So number one, that's interesting. And then number two, I got to ask you, you were a first grade teacher.
Yes.
Okay, so my teaching took place in high school.
Okay.
Your teaching took place in the early grades. You said you love it. What did you love about the first grade?
I always, looked at first grade as, I call it boot camp.
Okay.
Because they leave kindergarten, you take naps in kindergarten and all that. No, you do not. Around 12 o'clock, we're sleepy. Guess what? No, you're working. No more naps.
Yeah.
But they come and you teach them so much. They are totally different children by the end of the year. They make significant growth, like you wouldn't imagine. And so I always, it was always fresh, getting a new group of students, just watching them be kindergartners to first graders to second graders. The maturity and how they progress as far as grade, is really phenomenal. So
now,
that was exciting.
Dr. Franklin, today you lead our social and behavioral services team. A lot of times, just for short on social media, we may say family support.
Okay.
Before we go to our first commercial break, tell us, and I know it's a big department.
Yes.
I know it's a big department.
Yes.
Tell us what all social and behavioral services encompasses. What's all under that umbrella?
So yes, it is a large department, but we do house our truancy coordinator. We house our homeless liaison. We have our parent and community coordinators. We have crisis counselors. We have the social workers. We have coordinated school health, which includes our school nurses. We have our social workers, crisis counselors, school counselors. We have, it's endless, 504 services.
I think the health and the nurses are also under that umbrella.
The school nurses fall under there with the coordinated school health. And so pretty much any non-academic service.
For students and families.
Students and families. We're probably your
awesome.
Department.
And so much of the work you do involves family engagement.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the cool stories. One of the reasons why we wanted to invite Dr. Franklin to this show is we're coming right off of our second annual JMCSS Gala, where many of the business community joined us at Union University. Our superintendent, Dr. Marlon King, provided a State of the Schools address.
He did,
And when you think about 26 schools, 12 different, at least district departments, one of the items in his speech really landed on social and behavioral services and that family support piece. So we want to take today as an opportunity to share some of this information with our families. So Dr. Franklin, you have 20 more minutes or so that we can discuss this?
Sounds good.
Okay. Awesome. We're going to take our first commercial break. We don't want you to go anywhere. We've got a lot of good information to tell you about concerning our social and behavioral services department. And it doesn't matter where you land economically. Our family support team has things that they can offer you and your family. You're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Tad Pohl, host of the Morning Splash on Froggy 104, and a proud JMCSS parent. My wife and I chose Jackson-Madison County Schools for our kids. Brooklyn is an honor roll student who has found an aptitude for art and is also a member of her school choir. And the twins are getting excellent instruction in pre-K and learning valuable social skills. The kids love their schools and their teachers, and we are very proud to be JMCSS parents. Jackson-Madison County School System is a Level 5 district and tuition-free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson-Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Hello, I'm Elias, a star student at Arlington Elementary School. You're watching For the District. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. This morning, we're visiting with Dr. Shalonda Franklin. She is Chief of our Social and Behavioral Services Department, also known as our Family Support Team. Dr. Franklin, I'm thinking back to the superintendent's State of the Schools address, and he mentioned our family support team, social and behavioral services, and a couple of the things that he was telling our community partners in the business community was that the school district recently secured a cold food storage grant to help provide meals for needy families.
Yes.
And so in addition to letting the community know about that, there's some facts and figures that folks may not think about when they think about our school system. It's really awesome when you think about the incredible work our teachers are able to accomplish, because there are some challenges.
Absolutely.
There are nearly 300 students in our school system that have been identified as experiencing homelessness.
Yeah.
So before you can ever hope to open a book or go down a lesson plan,
Absolutely.
there are some needs that we have to help these families meet.
Absolutely.
Dr. Franklin, talk about some of the challenges that your team helps our families overcome.
Awesome. So you mentioned something very, profound. Homelessness is one of our areas of focus. A lot of time people think when, you're homeless that you live on the street. That's not always the case. We have several of our students. We have, as you mentioned, almost 300 students identified. But that could mean staying in hotels or shelters. But one other fact that a lot of people don't know, in being homeless, it could be you're doubling up with another family. So say, for instance, my children and myself, we come and we stay with you and your family.
Right. A cousin or a distant relative of
Yeah.
some sort.
Then I am considered homeless.
Right.
So having those needs taken care of, so that, again, as you mentioned, those barriers will not become a problem in the classroom. Because we know, according to research, that if your basic needs are met, then you can't get to the top of your self-actualization. And so that hinders learning, and that's a barrier. And so one of our main targets and focus in the Social and Behavioral Services Department is to help schools remove those barriers. And you mentioned the cold food storage, providing food is one. No, we can't feed, every single meal, but allowing families and giving them that hope to know that they can come and get a meal, that's huge when you're in a traumatic situation. And so we've partnered with Save the Children to look at providing cold food, such as your microwavable meals. Of course, we have our pantry with the non-perishable items. And so now, coupled together, the non-perishable meals and along with the microwavable meals, now we have some families actually have access to hot food and complete meals. And that's huge for a school system to provide free.
We're visiting with Dr. Shalonda Franklin. She's our Chief of Social and Behavioral Services. A couple of things are going through my mind, Dr. Franklin, as we talk about this. Let me start here. I don't remember which storm it was, but writing up some crisis communications and speaking with Dr. King and the executive team, Dr. King wanted to make sure, hey, in this communication, let's remind families that we have an entire department
Absolutely.
that is dedicating to meeting needs, so that if someone is, if they experience homelessness because of a storm, I mean, there were homes that experienced significant roof damage, or
Yes.
where there was one time we worked with the city of Jackson before taking over Oman Arena, where families were able to come in and take showers.
Absolutely.
And again, this idea of meeting needs when the needs arise.
Absolutely. It was one of the tornadoes that actually came. Not the last little bout of weather.
Yeah.
But yes, I definitely, our department, I would like to believe we were very instrumental with some families. We did have several families to reach out to our department via our family support email. And again, that's our family support at jmcss.org. And we had families, ranging from we need clothes to could we have more uniforms because our children's uniforms were damaged, to we would just like to take a shower. To hygiene kits we're giving out, just those things, just again, not to solve every problem, but in traumatic times we all need some
That's right.
hope. And so that's what we want to be able to continue to do, and we will continue to do that in the social behavior department.
So we do want to take a moment, and it may be that you'll never need the aid of our social and behavioral services team. Good fortune, hopefully you won't. But there may come a time that you or someone you know will need assistance. Two things we want to remind you. You can always contact our social and behavioral services team via email, familysupport@jmcss.org.
Absolutely.
And then certainly they can use the Let's Talk platform
Yes.
that's located on our homepage. You can send feedback, ask questions. You can use Let's Talk. And you can go to the homepage. There's a button right there on the right-hand side. Certainly our superintendent is teaching the leadership to meet needs,
Right.
but also this importance of communication. And
Absolutely.
then this other thing, Dr. Franklin, I want to point out, and I think you may have said this in the interview with local media earlier this week. It's a delicate situation. We don't want to assume certain people need help.
That's right.
And our school counselors play a pivotal role in assisting your team to know which students and families need support. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we want to be a non-intrusive department. Again, when you're in traumatic times, you want to make sure that people are comfortable coming to you. You don't want people to feel like you're prying. And so we really rely on our school counselors. We rely on our social workers as well as our crisis counselors. And we even rely on our administrators to let us know which families, if they need anything, to reach out to us. So we do use the referral process, with schools to make sure that, we provide that service. And we do want to stay in the lane of being a support system to the schools. And so never want to embarrass anyone or make anyone uncomfortable, because social services, that's one of the main targets, is not to make people feel uncomfortable, but to feel empowered.
We have almost 13,000 students in our school system. Just over 5,000 of those students are classified as economically disadvantaged. So again, knowing that your team supports our teachers in schools, I think is very important. And then the fact that you were a former teacher, you were a former leader before you got into leading our social and behavior services team.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's just awesome, given your background, that you're here in Jackson-Madison County at this time.
Yeah.
Dr. Franklin, after-school tutoring is also offered, and I know you all have several partnerships, and I don't want to get in trouble by naming names, but I do want to mention. I'm mentioning this, not Dr. Franklin. I'm mentioning this. There's a after-school tutoring opportunity offered through a partnership with the Salvation Army of Jackson.
Absolutely.
I know that's one of the most recent initiatives you all have. But just for a moment, before we go to commercial break, anything you want to say about our community partners and their role in helping you all help families?
I do. a huge thank you to our community partners. And again, I don't want to get into trouble. It's
Right.
kind of like, you start naming names and you don't want to leave anybody out because they're also instrumental to us and to the work that we do, from volunteering, coming to our events, bringing various items to our students or to our families. And so I definitely wouldn't want to just start naming, but we could not do this work without the support of our community partners, and we value their service as well. And I like to say it's a service because, again, they understand and they're working right alongside the school system with our families. And so we really appreciate and value our community partners.
We're visiting with Dr. Shalonda Franklin, Chief of Social and Behavioral Services for the Jackson-Madison County School System. It's time to take another time out, but we will be right back with more conversation on our family support team. You're listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Terica Smith, a local attorney and proud JMCSS graduate, but I'm also a JMCSS parent. We chose Jackson-Madison County Schools for educational options that are innovative and challenging. Whether it's the Academic Academy at Northeast or early college and career opportunities at JCM Early College High, JMCSS offers classes and programs that will prepare my son for college and beyond. Plus, JMCSS is a Level 5 district and tuition free. It just makes sense.
Hi, I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for the Jackson-Madison County School System. With an increased focus in the fine arts, athletics, workforce development, and early career opportunities for students, there's never been a better time to choose us. Tuition-free, Jackson-Madison County Schools. Visit jmcss.org today to schedule a tour or call 731-345-7011.
Hello, I'm Takaya, a star student at Arlington Elementary. You're watching For the District. Now back to the show.
Welcome back to For the District, the JMCSS podcast on JJ 97.7 FM. We've been visiting with Dr. Shalonda Franklin. She's our Chief of Social and Behavioral Services for the Jackson-Madison County School System. And if you missed the first segment, I want to encourage you, get on Apple iTunes, get on Spotify, catch the first segment. Because I mentioned Haywood High School, and Dr. Franklin didn't think I would, but I did. I'm not afraid to give a shout out to the Tomcats.
Yes.
I might work at Southside or JCM in here too, but I'm not afraid. Hey, Dr. Franklin, your team does great work in our school system.
Thank you.
It's social and behavioral services.
Yes.
I think before we continue our conversation, something that's important to say, when families get a text or notification from the district, and it concerns social and behavioral services. Many of these activities are fun activities for all families.
All families.
Can you speak to that?
Yes. So whenever you see any invitations or any flyers from our department, please, it's for all families. We want all families to come out. We want that parental involvement. We want the engagement. We want you all to pack it out. I mean, because we always try to make it fun. Our team is awesome. Most of our events are led by Miss Angela Searcy, and she puts so much energy into it. And one of her things is, Dr. Franklin, I just hope it's successful. I'm like, Angela, it will be fine. And so one of the things for her to feel like it's successful is for us to pack it out. So anytime you see anything from the Social and Behavior Services Department, please, let's pack it out so that Angela won't be so nervous. But also we have things going on in there, such as our literacy initiatives, our math initiatives, and then we always want you all to know who we are so that you'll feel comfortable with reaching out for our services.
Yeah. And if you're not reaching out for yourself, you're reaching out for someone else.
Absolutely.
There's a mom's book club that you all put on that's open to all moms.
Open to all moms.
And much of the activities take place at Parkview Prep. Explain
Absolutely.
that. So
Parkview Prep started out the home of the Social and Behavior Department, and also as we moved back to the central office, we have a family resource center that we're so proud of. And so a lot of the items that supplies that I've mentioned, they are at our Family Resource Center. Again, Miss Angela Cersei facilitates that and make sure that that stays stocked. Our parent cafes, which is a parenting class or involvement initiative that happens, at Parkview. The uniforms and all those things, that's where we keep a lot of our items, but also not just as a housekeeping. It serves as a hub for any family. Again, I want to reiterate, any family to come and to get whatever you need, as far as so that we have those barriers, to not be a hindrance from your children learning. And so Miss Angela Cersei is there daily. And so if, again, you need that support, and you happen to miss her because of lunchtime, give her a few minutes. She'll be there. Or again, email us at familysupport@jmcss.org and say, hey, where are you all? I need to get to the Family Resource Center. And again, it's at Parkview Prep. So we're very, very, very proud of our Family Resource Center.
Exciting news coming out of the Social and Behavioral Services Department, and this will illustrate how big that umbrella is. Our district school health clinic is slated to reopen in just a month or two, in July, after closing in 2020.
Yeah.
That's huge news. Talk about that.
Yeah, Miss Annette Wilson, this is her baby. She's our coordinator, school health coordinator. And again, this is her baby, and if you want her to show excitement, oh man, mention this clinic. But a huge thing, again, another initiative to keep students at school so that they can learn. The clinic will be opened for students as well as the teachers or the staff, so that if I need to get a flu shot, I just go run to the clinic and I get it, go back to class. Or we're looking at having a certified nurse practitioner to run that. It will be at our JCT site, at our JCT school. So we're excited about that. Don't worry, it's not just for JCT.
Right.
That's just where it's housed. So again, we're looking to always be innovative and to do whatever we can ethically and legally to support our families, and also provide services so that students can learn.
We're thankful to West Tennessee Healthcare for that partnership to reopen the health clinic. Thinking back when I was teaching, during flu season, and you didn't feel right or you just kind of felt under the weather, you could go there and they'd see you. You didn't have to worry about calling around a doctor's office.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the perks. That was one of the supports being an employee of the Jackson-Madison County School System.
Absolutely.
So we are certainly thrilled about the school health clinic reopening here in July.
Absolutely.
We're visiting with Dr. Shalonda Franklin. She's our Chief of Social and Behavioral Services. You all do so much work, Dr. Franklin, and there is certainly, I know we don't want to get in trouble mentioning sponsors and community partners, but there is certainly, if we're honest, there's certainly a core of community partners that help your division. And we talked about the school health clinic. So I know West Tennessee Healthcare is in
Absolutely.
there. Some of the photos, if you check us out on YouTube and check the video version of this podcast, you'll see photos with many of our community partners. There's initiatives with RIFA. I know there are others.
Yeah. So it's great you mentioned that. We do have AmeriGroup, which is a very instrumental community partner. We have United Way with Mr. Matt Marshall, RIFA. Our friends at RIFA are huge and instrumental in our department. Salvation Army, looking at tutoring with our homeless population. And then also the Save the Children, which is a very huge player in our Code Food initiative. We have Lang Chapel that partners with us as well. Those are just our... as Mr. Hammond mentioned, those are just to name a few, but we certainly have more. And again, as I mentioned earlier, we are appreciative of all of our community partners, and that the support that they pour out for our families. I mean, we call and they come, and so we're forever grateful for their spirit of service. As well.
Remembering that your services are for all families, I think back to Save the Children, which is a relatively new community partner for us. They had an initiative where they were able to provide books for really anyone who wanted a book, and so that's just another reminder that when you hear about our family support team, when you hear about social and behavioral services, yes, they are meeting the needs of the economically disadvantaged. They are meeting the needs of the homeless. However, there's a large portion of their supports that really help any family. Particularly a lot of the education that you all do at Parkview Prep. A lot of these are education classes to teach parents how to support their students in their education.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's for all families, and you mentioned it, and you said it very well. I mean, we want all families to feel a part, and you know, you don't have to have some traumatic experience to need help or assistance. You know, we do have counselors. You know, you may just need to come and vent and talk. You know, we provide that service as well. We have parents that, you know, are not so happy with some things, and so we take those on as well.
That's
so
right.
you know, we're not just for one population of people. We are for all of our families in Jackson-Madison County Schools. We want to make sure that, again, I can't reiterate it enough, that we're providing a gamut of services for all of our families, so that our children can learn. Our main focus always goes back to the children, following in the vision of Dr. King, our superintendent, our coach, our leader. You know, the students are our business, and so we want to make sure that they are successful. And so some of those non-academic barriers, if we can break them or knock them down, that's what we want to do.
We've been visiting with Dr. Shalonda Franklin, Chief of Social and Behavioral Services for Jackson-Madison County Schools. So as we begin to close, we want to give a couple of reminders.
Yes.
For families that need support. You can either reach out directly to our social and behavioral services team, but then Dr. Franklin reiterating that chain of communication for parents to communicate with the school and to communicate with the school counselor is very important in terms of starting the process of meeting a lot of these needs.
Yes, and what I really want to read, well, we want you to feel welcome in coming to us. We do not want to leave out our schools and our school leaders, because they are a part of you all, and they're a part of our families. And we, as the social and behavior department, we want to always stay in the lane of being a support to our schools. And so please reach out and form relationships with your school counselors. School counselors are awesome. So, you know, try to build those relationships with your school counselors and with your school administrators, and let them know, you know, some things that you need, and then they can help you all reach out to our department where we can get those extended wraparound services. Or if, again, we have it in stock, then we can provide it directly. But always start with the school and build a relationship with your teachers and your counselors and your administrators. Those are your immediate, your school family. And then, of course, we'll be your secondary family.
We want to again thank Dr. Franklin, our Chief of Social and Behavioral Services, for visiting us on the podcast today. Reminder that her team, our family support team, provides support for students to be successful academically, socially, and emotionally.
Absolutely.
So this is a district support, and we want to encourage our families to take advantage of this support.
Please do.
Dr. Franklin, some other time you'll come back in and we'll continue the conversation some other time?
Anytime. I think I can handle that. We could do that anytime.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure.
You've been listening to For the District, the JMCSS podcast. Remember, you can catch us on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you check out your favorite podcasts. We want to thank you for visiting us with us this Sunday morning. We hope you have a great day and an excellent week. We'll see you next time.